There was a time when I spent months trying to convince someone that I was worth choosing. I truly believed that if someone could see who I really was, they would eventually find a reason to choose me. That's why I fell so deeply for one person. I believed that if I loved him enough, one day he would see what I saw. What I didn't realize was that this belief was quietly shaping almost every decision I made. Because I loved him, I was always the one who started our conversations. I was the one checking on him, asking how he was doing, looking for every opportunity to help in any way I could. I even began remembering the smallest details about him, believing that if he noticed how much I cared, he would finally see that I was someone worth keeping close. There were days when I told myself, today, I'll wait for him to text me first. But before long, I was already reaching for my phone again. Every time my phone lit up, my heart hoped it was him. And whenever it wasn't, I would tell myself, maybe he'll text me later. But the more I kept doing all those things, the more I began to realize that nothing was really changing. He accepted everything I did for him, but he never truly seemed to notice it or value it. Something in me began to change. The more he failed to see me as someone worth choosing, the more I started believing the problem was me. Little by little, I convinced myself that when someone doesn't choose you, it must mean someone else is simply better than you. Before I even realized it, I found myself constantly comparing myself to other people, wondering what they had that I didn't. Sometimes I'd spend minutes writing a message, only to delete it and start over again. I kept thinking, maybe there's one wrong word. Maybe that's why he doesn't see me the way I hope he would. Then I started changing little things about myself, not because they made me happier, but because I hoped they would make him see me differently. Somewhere along the way, I stopped paying attention to who I really was and became obsessed with becoming someone I thought he would love. I felt like something was missing inside me, and I truly believed that if I could just find that missing piece, maybe then he would finally choose me. But what I didn't realize back then was that I was no longer searching for who I really was. I was searching for the version of myself that I imagined he would love. Something unexpected happened. The moment I stopped chasing his approval, it wasn't that he suddenly changed. I did. The moment I stopped trying to prove why I was worth choosing, I slowly began remembering who I really was. I started doing things because they made me happy, not because I hoped someone else would notice. Then one day, my phone lit up. I looked at it. It was him. I smiled gently. Then I put my phone back down. Not because I hated him, but because I no longer needed his reply to feel at peace. A little while later, he began to notice that something had changed. The things he had never paid attention to before were suddenly impossible for him to ignore. But by then, I was no longer waiting for him to see them, because I had finally realized something. My worth was never determined by whether someone chose me. It had always been there. I was simply the one who couldn't see it. Sometimes, the moment you stop chasing someone else's approval is the moment you finally come home to yourself.